Welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Always exciting to be here.
Today, we're going to be tackling smart cities.
Ooh, very timely.
We keep hearing about them, all this futuristic stuff.
Yeah.
But how do they actually work?
Right.
What makes a city smart?
Good question.
Well, that's where MasterOfThings comes in. We've got excerpts from their official FAQ, version 2.26.7, to guide us.
Sounds good.
And the goal here is to really get a handle on what this platform is all about,
Okay.
what it can do, why it's relevant.
I'm ready.
So maybe you can kick us off here. What is this MasterOfThings?
All right. So MasterOfThings, or MOTI, as I'll probably call it because it's a mouthful.
Sure, MOTI it is.
It's being called like the operating system for a smart city.
Okay, that's a bold claim.
It is, but it's not just running on a single computer.
Right.
It's orchestrating an entire network, like sensors, devices, applications.
Yeah, so it's more like the brains of the operation.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. It's like the central hub for everything.
So how does that actually work? Like, give me a real-world example.
Okay, imagine a city just buzzing with activity. You got traffic lights.
Uh-huh.
You got sensors monitoring the air quality.
Okay.
You got those smart garbage cans that tell you when they're full.
I've seen those. Those are pretty cool.
Right. So BumOT is what connects all of these different things. It's collecting all that data, and then it enables applications to manage and use it.
So it's not just about connecting things. It's about making sense of all the data they're collecting.
Precisely. It's about making the city run more smoothly, more efficiently.
Okay, I'm starting to see the potential here.
And the exciting part is that MOT isn't just passively collecting this data.
Okay.
It gives developers the tools to actually build applications that can use this data in all sorts of powerful ways.
Okay, so, like, a city could create an app that helps optimize traffic flow based on real-time data from sensors.
Exactly. Or an app that adjusts street lighting based on pedestrian movement.
Saves energy, makes things safer.
You got it.
This is starting to sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, but the FAQ mentions companies are already using MOT to build real-world solutions.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is happening right now.
Like what kind of stuff?
So we're talking smart parking systems. Think about those systems that guide you to an open parking space.
Yeah, those would be great in my city.
Right. Reduce congestion, driver frustration.
Yeah, big time.
Or what about environmental monitoring solutions?
Okay.
Tracking air quality, alerting officials to any issues.
So it's not just futuristic, it's practical.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that makes MOTI really powerful is that it's designed to make development fast and accessible.
Oh, that's interesting. I was just thinking about all the coding that must go into building these smart city applications.
Well, yeah, MOTI allows for traditional coding,
Okay.
but it also has this visual IDE.
Okay, now I'm lost. What's that?
Think drag and drop. You're building applications visually.
So you're saying even someone who's not a hardcore programmer could potentially create a smart city application?
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Empowering more people to contribute to these solutions.
All right, that's pretty cool. So let's break down how MOTI works at a technical level. The FAQ talks about this layered architecture.
Right. It's all about the journey of data.
Okay, I'm listening. Take me on that journey.
So imagine a sensor out in the city tracking traffic flow, right?
Okay.
That data has to travel through these layers to get to MOTI and then be turned into something meaningful.
All right, so where does this data journey begin? Walk me through it.
It starts at the edge with those sensors.
They're
collecting all the raw data, temperature, humidity, traffic flow.
So that's like step one, gathering the raw ingredients.
Exactly. But then you got to get that data to MOTI.
Okay.
And that's where things get a little tricky because the sensors, they all speak different languages.
Oh, right. Like a temperature sensor might use a different protocol than a traffic camera.
Exactly. And that's where the driver manager comes in. This is layer 2.
Okay, so the driver manager is like a universal translator for all these different data formats.
You got it. It takes all those different languages and turns them into something MOTI can understand.
That's pretty clever. So MOTI can basically talk to any device no matter what language it speaks.
And here's the really cool part.
Yeah.
MOTI supports all kinds of protocols, including something called MQTT.
MQTT?
Yeah, and it's actually an ISO standard.
Okay, why is that a big deal?
Well, using an open standard like this
Yeah.
means MOTI can connect to tons of devices, even like legacy systems that might be using older technology.
So it's about flexibility,
Yeah.
not getting locked into a single vendor.
Exactly. MOTI is designed to be open and adaptable.
Okay, so the driver manager translates the data, sends it up to MOTI. What happens next?
That's when it hits the third layer, the heart of MOTI, where the platform actually processes and analyzes the data, makes it ready for applications to use.
So this is where things get interesting for developers.
Absolutely. They can start building on top of this foundation.
So the applications are like the fourth layer, turning data into insights and actions.
You got it. MOTI provides the stage, and the applications are the stars of the show.
You mentioned earlier that MOTI makes development fast and accessible. Let's dive into that a bit more. What tools are we talking about?
Well, we talked about the visual IDE, that drag and drop interface.
Right, building with blocks instead of code.
Yeah, it's much more intuitive, you know?
But what about the developers who love to code? Does MOTI cater to them too?
Of course. They've got code windows where they can use languages like JavaScript.
Okay, so it's a good balance. So MOTI gives you the tools to build these applications, but where does all the data actually live?
MOTI has its own database. Everything is stored securely there.
So it's like this giant data warehouse for the entire city.
Exactly. And then applications can access that data using APIs.
APIs, those are those things that allow different software to talk to each other.
Exactly. So a mentee can share its data with other systems that the city might be using.
I'm starting to see how comprehensive this platform really is. It's not just a single piece of software. It's like an entire ecosystem.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. It's a holistic solution for a smart city.
And the FAQ really emphasizes this. It goes beyond just the tech. It talks about security, scalability, user management.
Yeah, the nuts and bolts of making this actually work in the real world.
Okay, so maybe next time we can delve into those more nuanced aspects of MOTI.
Definitely. There's a lot more to explore.
Well, listeners, stay tuned because this is just the beginning of our deep dive into MasterOfThings.
We're just getting started.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into MasterOfThings.
Ready for round 2.
Last time we really started to get a grip on how data flows through this whole system.
From those sensors all the way to the applications.
But there's more to it, right?
Oh, definitely. We got to talk about security, scalability, who can access what, all the things that actually make this work for a city.
Exactly. So the FAQ goes into some of those details, and maybe we should start with security. I mean, we're talking about a whole city's worth of data here.
Right. This isn't just like your personal email account.
Yeah, the stakes are a little higher. So how does MOTI ensure that everything is actually protected?
Well, remember those driver managers? Each one's like a translator for a specific type of device, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the FAQ says each one uses a unique ID and password to talk to a MOTE.
Oh, okay. So it's like each device or group of devices has its own secure login.
You got it. No unauthorized access. It's like that first layer of defense.
Okay, that makes sense. But I mean, is that enough?
Well, they take it a step further with encryption keys.
Okay, now you're getting technical on me.
It's like, imagine sending a super secret message, right?
Yeah.
Encryption is like putting that message in a locked briefcase. Only someone with the right key can open it and read it.
Ah, I see. So even if someone intercepted the data, they couldn't actually understand it without the key.
Exactly. It's like scrambling the data. And honestly, with the kind of information we're talking about here, personal data, infrastructure control systems, that encryption is crucial.
Yeah, we're not messing around here. But I got to say, sometimes these smart city ideas make me a little nervous, security-wise.
I get it, like opening up a city to new vulnerabilities.
Right. But it sounds like MOTI is taking it seriously.
Oh, yeah. And it's not just about the data traveling between devices. It's about controlling who has access to what once it's inside MOTI.
Ah, right. The FAQ mentioned these domain administrators, the folks who really have the keys to the kingdom.
Yep. They get to decide who can see what, who can do what. They're like the digital gatekeepers.
So you wouldn't want just anyone messing with the traffic light system.
No way.
Huh.
You want qualified people in charge of that.
Exactly. And MOTI gives these administrators the tools to manage all of that, right?
Yeah, they've got this whole interface to create user groups, assign roles, set permissions. It's like a system of digital locks and keys.
So you're not just building a secure system, you're building a system where that security is actually manageable.
Yeah, exactly. Because technology can be complex, but you got to make it work for the people using it.
Okay, so we've talked about keeping things safe. What about handling growth? Because cities change, they expand. The FAQ talks about horizontal scalability.
Ah, scalability. That's the million-dollar question.
So help me understand, let's say a city starts with a few thousand smart devices hooked up to MOTI.
Okay.
But then it grows, adopts more tech. What happens when you have tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of devices all trying to connect?
Right. Will it crash? Will it slow down?
Yeah, like my old computer trying to run too many programs at once.
Exactly. And that's where horizontal scalability comes in.
Okay, so what does that actually mean?
Think of it like building a city with wider roads, right? More cars. You just add more lanes to keep traffic moving.
Ah, I see. So MOT isn't limited by the capacity of a single server. You can just add more servers as needed.
You got it. MOT can expand and adapt as the city's digital footprint grows.
Okay, that makes sense. Because cities aren't static, they're constantly evolving. So the technology that manages them needs to evolve too.
Absolutely. And scalability is essential for that to happen.
Now let's talk about the people who are building these smart city applications. The FAQ mentions application tables.
Ah, yes. This is where developers get to customize things.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So, MOT is a platform, right? It's not trying to be everything to everyone.
Right, each city is going to have unique needs. Each application might collect different data, use it in different ways.
Exactly. So these application tables, they're like custom databases within MOT where developers can store their own specific application data.
Okay, so it's like having dedicated storage for each app, instead of just dumping everything into one giant database.
Exactly. Keeps things organized, tailored to each project, makes development smoother.
So it's all integrated. You can build your application, store your data, manage it all within the MOT environment.
Yep. It's a nice, seamless workflow. And the FAQ hints at something interesting here.
Oh, what's up?
It suggests that MOT's potential might even extend beyond just smart cities.
No, that's intriguing. What do you mean?
Well, think about it. A lot of the challenges that smart cities face, like managing data, security, scalability, those aren't unique to cities.
True. Universities, hospitals, big companies, they all deal with similar issues.
Exactly. So the way MOT is designed, those principles could be applied in all sorts of contexts.
So you're saying MOT could be a model for a new kind of platform, one that's not limited to a specific industry.
It's a possibility, right? Maybe this is the start of a more generalized approach to managing complexity, like a universal operating system, not just for cities, but for anything.
Wow, that's a big thought. And it kind of gets to the heart of why this deep dive is so important, right?
Exactly, because even if you're not a city planner or a techie, these trends matter. We're all living in a more connected world.
So understanding how these systems are built, how they work, how they're secured, that's important for everyone.
Absolutely. It's about being informed. It's about thinking critically about the technology that shapes our lives.
Okay, so we've gone pretty deep on the inner workings of MOT, but we still haven't talked about Sigfox.
Ah, yes. Sigfox, the unsung hero of the IoT world.
Well, sing its praises then. What is it, and why does MOT need to support it?
All right, so picture this. You've got sensors all over the city, right?
Yep.
Some are in easy-to-reach spots, but some might be underground or, I don't know, on top of a skyscraper.
Okay, so not exactly convenient to run wires to every single sensor.
Exactly. And that's where Sigfox comes in. It's this low-power, wide-area network specifically designed for the Internet of Things.
Low power, wide area. What does that mean in plain English?
It means it can send small bits of data over really long distances without guzzling energy. Perfect for sensors that are out in the boonies and need to last a long time on battery power.
Oh, that makes sense. But, how does this connect to MOT?
Well, the FAQ says OT is Sigfox certified,
Okay.
which means it can talk to devices that use the Sigfox network. It's like adding another language to MOT's repertoire.
So even more flexibility, more types of devices OMOT can connect with.
Exactly. MOT is all about that interoperability. The more the merrier.
So we're talking tiny sensors in remote locations, all feeding data back into MOT along with everything else.
It's like MOT is the grand central station of the smart city. Everything connects through it.
And the FAQ really paints a picture of how comprehensive this platform is. But there's still more to explore, right?
Oh, definitely. We've only just scratched the surface.
All right, well, listeners, stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive into MasterOfThings.
Okay, so we've gone pretty deep on the tech behind MasterOfThings.
Yeah, the nuts and bolts, the data flows, all that good stuff. But I'm curious, what's it actually like to use MOT? Like for a city manager or even a regular citizen?
That's a really important point, and the FAQ does touch on that, especially when they talk about building applications on MOT. They have this whole section about native versus standalone apps.
Okay, now those terms sound kind of technical. What's the difference and why should I care?
Well, imagine you're setting up a computer system.
Okay.
Would you want every single program you install to have its own separate operating system?
Ugh, no way. That sounds like a nightmare.
Right. Totally inefficient. Probably wouldn't even work half the time.
Yeah, nothing would be compatible.
Exactly. So native MoT apps are like having everything running on one unified OS. They're built specifically for MoT, designed to take advantage of all its features.
So for a city, this means all their different smart applications can talk to each other, share data, work together smoothly.
Precisely. It's a much more integrated, cohesive approach.
Okay, so that makes sense for native apps. But what about those standalone apps? Are they just completely out of the picture?
Not entirely. The FAQ says you can integrate them with MoT to some extent,
Okay.
but there are limitations, like they can't directly control devices.
So you might be able to get data from a standalone app into MoT.
Yeah.
But you couldn't use MoT to actually, do anything based on that data.
Exactly. So if a city really wants to build a truly integrated smart system, native MoT apps are the way to go.
Makes sense. So MoT can manage all these internal systems, but can it talk to the outside world? Like, what if a city already has other software they use?
Good question. The FAQ actually addresses this. It says MoT can communicate with external systems using what are called web service APIs.
Okay, APIs, that's how different software systems talk to each other, right? Like a universal translator for computers.
You got it. So even though MoT is this powerful platform, it's not a closed system. It can still work with other software a city might already have in place.
Okay, good. Because it would be a pain if cities had to, completely replace all their existing systems just to use MoT.
Right. Totally disruptive. So that ability to integrate, that's a big selling point.
All right, so we've talked about security, scalability, integration with external systems. What about, data management within MoT? Who gets to see what? And how do they make sure all this data is protected?
The FAQ has some good details on that. They emphasize that application data, the stuff specific to each app, is all stored securely in MoT's database.
So it's not just out there in the wild, it's protected.
Right. And remember those domain administrators.
Yeah, the gatekeepers.
They have a lot of control here. They can create user groups, assign roles, set permissions to control who can access what data.
So it's a very granular level of control.
Yeah, exactly. And the FAQ says you can manage all of this through MoT's user interface.
So it's not just about having strong security, it's about making that security easy to manage.
Exactly. Because if it's too complicated, people won't use it properly.
All right, I think we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about MoT's architecture, security, scalability, developer tools, and even its potential to go beyond just smart cities.
Yeah, we've really gone deep on this one.
But as we wrap things up, I think it's important to step back and remember that technology is just a tool, right? It's a means to an end.
That's such a good point. It's easy to get lost in the tech itself.
Yeah, bells and whistles.
But ultimately, it's about what we do with that tech.
So for our listeners out there, I think the big question is, what kind of future do we want to build with these tools? How can we use technology to make our cities better, more sustainable, more equitable?
Those are the important questions, and they go way beyond just smart cities.
Yeah, it's about the kind of world we want to live in. So listeners, keep those questions in mind as you go about your day.
And keep learning, keep exploring.
This is just one deep dive into one platform. There's a whole universe of technology out there just waiting to be explored. So until next time, keep those brains buzzing.
And stay curious.